got yours first. I'll go with that. Is that a good spot?
Not affix a sign to the fence. Not affix a sign to the fence. It's illegal. Not affix a sign to the fence. Okay? Gentlemen, you cannot affix a sign to the fence.
It's an emergency.
It's illegal.
It's an emergency.
Well, you know it's illegal to fix a sign.
It's necessity.
End fossil fuels! Declare climate emergency! 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 End fossil fuels! Declare climate emergency!
There is an emergency. There is a crisis, and we are willing, if it takes that, to go to jail for justice, to call on Biden to act with courage, to act with urgency, to declare a climate emergency, to end fossil fuels and save lives. Act with urgency.
Declare climate emergency! Act with urgency! Declare climate emergency! Act with urgency!
This is an emergency.
We feel
compelled
by justice, by conscience, that we have to stay here, that we can't stay here until President Biden acts. We love you, we love your family, but we feel we have to do this.
My name is Dr. Paul Seitz. I'm a physician. Thousands of people are dying every day from the climate emergency, and our president is not taking the action that he committed to. He committed to no drilling on federal lands, and he has given more permits so far in his presidency, only 3 years in, than President Trump did in his full 4-year term. We need him to stop drilling on federal lands to keep his promise. Biden said the climate emergency is an existential threat. We agree. So he should declare a climate emergency and bring forward the full force of the federal government and the American people. All Americans, Democrats, Republicans, Independents, all people in the country to help us solve the climate emergency.
Declare climate emergency!
Right now, President Biden is in New York, not attending the UN Climate Summit, where world leaders have arrived. World leaders who could only come in the door if they were serious about phasing out fossil fuels. The Secretary General Guterres held the line. He refused to let Biden through the door if he wasn't serious about ending fossil fuels. Well, guess what? He's not in the meeting. What does that mean? He's fine with scaling up green colonial fake solutions that require the mining of indigenous lands to get the wanted minerals and metals. Most of those are within 30 miles of indigenous lands. That is not a real solution. There are other solutions that are true, that don't harm indigenous people further, and those who have paid and paid and paid for the lifestyle so many of the Americans have enjoyed. We need real solutions. We need real indigenous consent. We need communities to be involved in solutions. We need solutions that come from the front lines. We need real environmental impact studies.
Act with urgency. Declare a climate emergency. Act with urgency. Declare a climate emergency.
It is a huge political winner for Biden to do this, because so many of the people who voted for him are waiting for him to do it, are upset that he's refused, that he continues to delay. The people who don't believe, that have been misled, that think climate change isn't real, we're not going to win them for this next election.
He's losing votes.
But we know that the people who worked the hardest to put him in office, they're upset that he broke that promise. They're upset that he hasn't used all of his powers yet. And the people in the middle, many, many more of them believe and understand that climate crisis is an urgent threat, and they want action. This is a winner. This is the right thing to do. Most importantly for lives, most importantly for this precious planet, most importantly for all the species that we share this home with. But it's also the right thing to do if you want to be reelected. And we have to be clear, it is a huge, huge mistake every day that he waits to do it. And we're here to say, if it takes us going to jail for justice for a day, to call on Biden to lead, to declare a climate emergency, we will do that. He has to act now.
I am here as badass Grandma Jill to call on First Lady Grandma Jill to invite me in.
Jill to Jill.
Jill to Jill.
Jill Summit.
Jill to Jill.
Grandma to grandma.
Let's talk about our grandchildren's well-being, their future, for clean air, for clean water. This is unsustainable. They put this pipeline through 400 bodies of water. The Great Lakes is 90% of this nation's fresh water supply. Wow. Fresh water is a non-renewable resource. When it's gone, it's gone. I'm here today. Jill to Jill, let's talk. You got 7 grandchildren. I've got 8. And all of these kids here are all my grandchildren.
Yes.
This is unsustainable. We have to end this war and extraction economy.
Biden, by declaring a national climate emergency, is not only taking a powerful symbolic step that he needs to do, he will be unlocking real powers. He could halt the exports of oil, of crude oil. He could do many things that are real, concrete actions. He can put his money and his actions where his mouth is.
That's right.
President Biden, we know you are a loving grandfather. You care about their future and our planet's future. Do the right thing. Do everything we can. This is an emergency.
That's right.
We have to throw everything at the wall. We cannot stop at half measures. We cannot stop at the work you have already done. And yes, you have already done work, but oh my goodness, we need to do so much more.
So much.
So much more. President Biden, this is the right thing to do. And here's the thing, Biden, you've already said, you said you have practically declared a national emergency already.
Actually.
Why not actually do it?
Actually do it.
Actually do it.
Declare a climate emergency. And fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency.
And fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency.
And fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency. And fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency.
And fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency. And fossil fuels.
Declare a climate emergency. And fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency. Declare a climate emergency.
Act with urgency. Declare a climate emergency. Act with urgency. Declare a climate emergency. Act with urgency. Declare a climate emergency.
Act with urgency. Declare a climate emergency. Act with urgency. Declare a climate emergency. Act with urgency. Declare a climate emergency. Act with urgency. Declare a climate emergency. Act with urgency. Declare a climate emergency.
And fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency. And fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency. And fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency. And fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency.
My relatives,
Yes.
a lot of people standing in the street cast their vote to elect a president who has their best interest at heart, in spirit. We ask that you use your intelligence.
Yes.
We ask that you use your intelligence. Look at the scientific data. Understand what's happening in the world, because people are watching it on TV. The death of communities because of natural disasters
Yes.
is not natural at all.
That's right.
They are human-made, and it's based on our lack of accountability. and our overconsumption of the resources that the sacred Mother Earth is providing. She's alive, and she regenerates life for us to exist.
Yes.
She is in dire need of assistance, and it has to come in the form of something bigger than a vote. It has to come with a conscience. It has to come with love. It has to come with responsibility and accountability to the land that you walk on, the air that you breathe, and the water that you drink. These are not commodities. These are her gifts of life to all life on this planet. And it's time we recognize that we owe, that we have a duty, that we have dues. And they're coming. Those dues are coming. And you see them when the floods come. You see them when the fires come. You see them when the lightning comes. Because they're watching us. Yes. They're reacting to our irresponsibility, our lack of accountability to take control of our consumption. End fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency.
End fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency. End fossil fuels.
Declare a climate emergency. End fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency. End fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency. End fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency. End fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency.
End fossil fuels.
I want you to take a look at the person standing beside you.
End fossil fuels.
I want you to take a look at the person standing beside you. Take a look at them. What are you going to do to make sure that there's air, water, clean air, clean water for their family, for their children, for their grandchildren? Because it takes a lot more common sense than we have right now in the leadership that we elected. It takes you to recognize that you have power, that you have strength, that you have a voice, that you have a duty.
Yes.
To wake up. So, it is time. These are not natural disasters. These are man-made by our overconsumption and our dependence upon fossil fuels. That's what we're saying today. Be aware of what your footprint is making, because these natural disasters are not natural. The people who are dying do not have to die in the way that they're dying. Let's be accountable. Let's stand up. Let's declare a climate emergency.
That's right.
End fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency.
End fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency. End fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency. End fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency. End fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency. End fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency. End fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency. End fossil fuels.
President Biden, on August 9th,
End fossil fuels.
declare a climate emergency. End fossil fuels.
Declare a climate emergency.
End fossil fuels.
Declare a climate emergency. End fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency. End fossil fuels.
Declare a climate emergency. End fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency. We're calling on President Biden to keep his promise. Move to end fossil fuels and declare a climate emergency today. He should be heading the climate summit. He should be leading. Keep his promise. No new drilling on federal lands. Declare a climate emergency today.
Get into the park. Guys, into the park. Let's go.
Fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency. End fossil fuels.
Declare a climate emergency. End fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency. End fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency. End fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency.
With urgency. Declare a climate emergency. Let's go in the park. With urgency. Declare a climate emergency.
We love you.
Let's go
we
in the
see
park.
you.
In the
we
park.
will get justice for you. We love you. We see you. We will get justice for you. We love you. We see you.
Guys, in the park.
We will
Let's
get
go.
justice
The
for
avenue's
you.
closed. Please get into the park. Let's go.
Declare a climate emergency and fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency and fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency and fossil fuels.
Let's go!
Declare a climate emergency and fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency. Declare a climate emergency. And with urgency. 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 Declare a climate emergency.
Oh, it's 4. I'm missing one there.
Declare a climate emergency. Act with urgency. Declare a climate emergency. Act with urgency. Declare a climate emergency. Act with urgency.
No more drilling of federal land, period. You said it.
People gonna rise like the water. We're gonna face this crisis down. I hear the voice of my great-granddaughter saying keep it in the ground. Hear the voice of my great-granddaughter saying keep it in the ground. The people are rising with the water. We're gonna face this crisis down. I hear the voice of my great-granddaughter saying keep it in the ground. The people gonna rise like the water. We're gonna face this crisis down. Keep it in the ground. Keep it at the ground. And fossil fuels. Declare a climate emergency. 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 Declare a climate emergency. Not practically, but actually. Declare a climate emergency. Not practically, but actually. Declare a climate emergency.
Act with urgency. Declare a climate emergency. Act with urgency.
Declare a climate emergency.
Act with urgency.
Declare a climate emergency.
They started in South Dakota over a week ago, and we showed up here and we stood in front of the White House on Leonard Peltier's birthday. He has been in custody for over 4 decades. 4 decades. And in other countries, the maximum time is only 25 years. That's a lifetime. And yet, an innocent brother, not guilty of the crime that the charges that were against him, is serving 4 decades, over 4 decades, almost 5 decades. That's what brought me to Washington, D.C. because it's probably the worst thing that you can, use to try to manipulate and control an entire nation. Is to take one of them, abuse them, charge them illegally, manipulate evidence to have them put behind bars.
And then of course there's been the climate stuff in the 3 days after that, and then the New York event. Tell me about all that.
The march was Sunday, and this week now they're having a climate summit, and so protesters from all over the globe, and especially in the United States, made an appearance at the march. 75,000 people is what I've heard. But we were chanting in the street in a unified, diverse act, many actions. There was the closing of banks, and that I think that was the main target, because if you can get a bank to stop funding fossil fuels development, then that's just one of the steps that we need to take, is that we need our banks to invest in green technology and not lithium. lithium. There's enough lithium on the planet right now. If we recycled it, we would probably have what we need. And the same with the other elements that we've been extracting.
Leslie, I mean, both Monday in New York as well as kind of over the last week and a half here in DC, there's been these acts of civil disobedience.
Yeah.
Why is it sort of important to do that kind of activism instead of just raising your voices, but you know, also doing the nonviolent getting arrested?
Okay, so we have come to a point in our existence, politically and physically, that this planet cannot sustain our consumption of the planetary resources, and it cannot sustain the continual extraction of fossil fuels. So we are at a tipping point, and the administration is not responding. The scientists are being shut down. Their voices are being minimalized. But here on these gates, we can use our constitutional rights to make people aware and to demand that climate change be taken seriously. And part of that means that we have to be civil disobedient. That means that we have to stand in the front, and we have to let Biden know that we're out here, and it's come to a point, it's an emergency. And civil disobedience has strong roots, and it carries a big wave that lasts far into the future. So getting arrested, getting ticketed, those are both things that people are willing to do because it's at that point they will sacrifice their freedom to make sure that the message is not lost, to encourage other people, to inspire them, and to put out a red flag and a siren that woo, 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 woo. The time for change is now, and if it takes civil disobedience, that's what it takes, and that's what people are going to do.